So welcome back to another episode, and another year has gone by. It seems like 1 minute ago since 2016, I was sitting here and I was doing the top 10 Happy Console Gamer moments of 2016. That went by like that. I just cannot believe how fast time goes by. And I remember at the end of last year, I was like, man, I wonder, can I even fill this year up with any highlight moments? Like, you think that. Like, what's going to happen in 2017 that I can come up with some moments that were real highlights of the show? And it's the end of the year and I can do that. There's moments that I'm like, wow, I can't believe some of these even happened. And some of them are just, episodes that I really enjoyed doing. Some of the episodes that I talk about didn't even do that well, but they meant a lot to me. And I always do episodes that mean something to me and not something that will necessarily sometimes get views. And maybe that's a little bit of an issue that I have, but that's okay. That's for me to deal with. I'll start at number 10. Number 10 is a great one for me, and that is, I had one of my childhood heroes over here, and that was William Chow, the King of Smut 95. He was the guy who ran the Japanese animation club in the 80s, 90s, and he was the godfather of anime in North America. People on Star Trek The Next Generation, the producers, used to write to him and ask him for fan subtitled anime because anime wasn't widespread like it is now, and you had to write to people and ask them to send you VHS tapes with episodes of things fan subtitled. That's how you did it back then, and it was wonderful for me when I was growing up. Will was a real hero of mine, and I thought, man, when I grow up I want to be like William Chow and have a really big collection and really have a passion for it and try to show that passion and share it with other people. And I think I've accomplished that. And I really was blown away to have Will on the show. Like, when I used to be in his store and go to all the meetings back in the day, he was a legendary figure. And I didn't really think he had a lot of time for me. And it's amazing now that I've gotten older how much, I've kind of got to his level in the sense of maturity and stuff like that. And anyways, I did the episode with Will, and it was wonderful to interview him. I recommend going and seeing that episode. It's called The King of Smut 95. Now, number 9 was a bit of a surprise. I wrote to .emu just before Wonder Boy was released. And I asked them, I'm like, hey, can I get a review code? I really want to play this game early. And they're like, no, we sent you something in the mail. Just wait for that. And I'm like, what? Okay? And I really had no idea. I honestly had no idea. And then I got a package here, and it's like from France, from .emu. I'm like, I'll do an unboxing of it. And if it turns out to be something cool, then that's cool. If it's not, then whatever. At least I'll have it recorded and I can make a decision at that time. So I got this box, and I opened it up, and I was absolutely thrilled. It was a press kit for the Dragon's Trap, the remake. And I was just so blown away. It came with a pig mask and all this stuff in a Master System style box, and it just blew me away. And I think they only made like 20 of these things, and I was so lucky to get it. And I've always been such a huge Wonder Boy fan, and I guess I helped spread the word about the game because I wanted everybody to play this game because I loved it as a kid. And they sent me this to thank me, and because I was such a big fan. And there's no greater reward than that. If you had told me when I was a kid, when I'd be playing Wonder Boy, that when I get older I'd get a press kit and they'd even remake the game, I would have told you were lying. So that was a really wonderful surprise, and it just made my day. I have it in my display cabinet in the other room. Now at number 8, it's wonderful and it's very few and far between that I can get my friend Andrew over because he lives in California. And he came over for like 3-4 days. We hung out, we played some video games, and we did a Zelda talk. And that was the episode that I put out. It's called Zelda Talk. And it was fascinating. Me and Andrew did one of these a few years ago where we did the Final Fantasy series. Where we just talked about playing all these games and what they meant to us growing up. And we played them all. And we did the same with Zelda. We played every single Zelda game. So it was really fun just to sit with Andrew and reminisce through our childhoods and talk about when we got the games, when we traded things on the streets and stuff like that, to get different, copies of games. That's what you did back then. You traded with your friends for video games. And it was so exciting to talk about A Link to the Past, Ocarina of Time, all these big games from our childhood, and it's wonderful to kind of go on memory road down on a nostalgic trip with Andrew again. And I'm so glad me and him have that episode. And a lot of these episodes that I do in the show are realistically really for me, for when I do get older and I start to forget things. And here's something that I've noticed over the years of doing the show. I noticed that on some episodes I did like 9 years ago, I'm so happy that I mentioned things because I was like, oh geez, I would have forgotten that now. I've forgotten things now that I mentioned 9 years ago. So it's very important to cement these things because memory only goes so far. And my memory's pretty good, but sometimes I need to record a bit, and so happy to have that episode. Now, at E3 this year, I did something brand new where I recorded myself watching the conference, and I had a little window of what I was watching at the same time. And then I didn't just put that on the internet. That's boring. Those are huge, long videos. I chopped it up to my most favorite bits that I was either yawning when they're announcing games, or I was excited or whatever. And this moment was during the Nintendo Switch conference when they announced, and it was just a goddamn logo, they announced Metroid Prime 4. I lost my shit because beforehand I was rubbing this Metroid. I'm like, this is my lucky Metroid. Just give us another Metroid on the Switch. I'll be so thrilled. And then when I got it, I was just like so overjoyed. And I was like, yes, yes. I was like, it was an E3 moment, just like the Shenmue moment from years ago and the Final Fantasy VII reveal from years ago. It just was a very exciting time, and I hope we get it in 2018. Now, at number 6 was something big that I did. It was really big for me to do. I know a lot of other friends of mine have done different channels and, with mixed success and all of that, where I announced on the show that I was starting a brand new movie review channel called Film Fury with Victor Lucas. And you know what? We did it, and we went running with it, and we didn't stop. And I think we're over 60 episodes of that now, which is amazing. And I gotta say, we didn't do it for money. We didn't do it for for fame or for anything like that. We don't do things for that. That's not what motivates us at this point. We did it because we just wanted to get together and see movies together and review them. That's it. We wanted to have the pleasure of seeing these movies because we're massive movie fans. And I can say between Film Fury and the EPN network, from the beginning of 2017 to now, I can say this. I have seen over 74 movies in the theater this year alone. And I can say this, it's been wonderful. And especially with Film Fury, it's pushed me to go and see movies that I would never normally see in a million years. And I've really become a bigger film fan than I ever was before. Seeing movies before, I'd see maybe like 4 movies in the theater in a year. And that was a big deal. Where now I'm more of a connoisseur of it's not like, oh wow, I'm in a theater, I'm having popcorn in a theater. It's more, I love that big screen, I love that sound, I love that I can't escape from the screen, that this movie has me. And it's been an incredible journey. As I said it would be. And the thing is we've stuck with it, and we will continue to stick with it. I'm having a really fun time with Film Fury. I'll put a link down below if you haven't checked out the channel. Check it out, subscribe. We're having a great amount of fun there. Now, at number 5 was a video that, in the grand spectrum of things, didn't do well. And a lot of the audience liked it, and a lot of them didn't like it. And I can understand that. I can respect that too. But I can say for me, I love this episode. This is one of my top 5 episodes of the entire year, and is when I had Jason Hooft spending a week with me here, and we went for the day, and we're huge Star Wars fans. You have to understand, we're huge Star Wars fans. We went out on Force Friday to so many Walmarts and so many different stores looking for all the toys, and if any had leaked early in the day, and we had some successes and we didn't. And we were so enthused. It's one of those days that I will never ever forget. I had such a good, genuine time. And then that night, we were like, oh, there's a Toys R Us opening at midnight. And they were going to, have all the toys. And we're saying to my wife, I'm like, should we go? We're kind of tired from driving around all day. And she's like, God, guys, go. go and do this, go and do this. And we went and did it. And it was so much fun. And we had the whole day documented. It's called our Force Friday Quest. I recommend you watching this video. It's a video we really made for ourselves, for our own enthusiasm. But we had such a good time. We were the first in line. And you know what? We thought we would be the only people in line. There was 100 plus more people that lined up behind us. And we got to know everybody in the line. And it wasn't so much even about the toys at that point. It was about the enthusiasm for The Last Jedi and for Star Wars in general. And just to share our love of this hobby and all of that. And a lot of people, I guess in the comments were like, oh man, I can't believe you're such older guys and you're doing this, like get a life. And I'm like, you know, you're on a video game channel saying that. You know, like honestly, just because you get older doesn't mean you stop having fun. And I think you have to work a little bit more harder to have fun. But you know what? It comes easy for me. And it came easy that night for Force Friday. Number 4 is something that if you told me this last year, I would have been like, no, that would never in a million years happen. First of all, I went down to New York Comic Con. Fox flew me down. And while I was there, I was walking around. I saw the Bloodstained booth. I talked to the PR guy. And he's like, hey, would you like to interview Koji Igarashi, who created Symphony of the Night? And I'm like, fuck yes, I do. Goddamn right, absolutely I do. And I couldn't believe that this was going to happen. And the next day I showed up at 12 o'clock. I had to catch a taxi to the airport right afterwards. But I got my interview and it just is one of those things that you never think you're going to do in a lifetime. I was talking to some friends of mine about it and I said, when I was playing Symphony of the Night when I was like 22 years old, I'm 43 now, turning 44. If you had told me while I was playing that game that one day I'd meet the creator of this game and I'd interview him, I wouldn't believe it. You know, back when I was younger, the creators, you know, especially Japanese creators, were bigger than life and they were so unreachable, untouchable. They were almost godlike to me. So for me to interview such a legendary figure was something I never expected, and it really lived up to the hype for me. And I got to thank him. I didn't get to thank him as me now. I got to thank him as John from 22 years ago for creating Symphony of the Night and, you know, creating a lot of fun for me and my friends, and one of the highlight moments of my life. Now, number 3 was an unusual one, and I didn't even know if I wanted to even tell the story. I just thought, man, this is such a strange story. Like, how will people even react to it? I'm like, you know, this is an interesting video game story as well. And I told the story about how I got my Nintendo Lucky Charm, one of the most magical items that I've gotten in the last few years. I got it from Thor Ackland, the Nintendo 1990 World Champion. I got a coin off him, just a coin, a pressed Route 66 coin. And I tell the story how he gave it to me and how it meant so much, and how I got it and why I'm a superstitious person and why this item had so much worth to me. And a lot of people definitely understood. I was so thrilled to see that in the comments in the video. I recommend checking out the video. It's a very different type of video. And I was like, I hope people, when I say Nintendo Lucky Charm, will be like, what the heck's going on here? And I love telling the story, and I'm so happy it was so well received. Number 2 was an unexpected episode that I didn't even think I was even going to do. I went down to Sakura Kon. It's an anime convention down in Seattle, and me and Kim went for the weekend just as anime fans and just to enjoy the whole weekend and just fanboy and fangirl out. And we did. We really had a great time. And while I was there, I lined up to meet a legendary artist, Kenichi Sanada, from my childhood. Created things like Writing Bean and Gal Force, and just a phenomenal artist. One of the artists for, the character designer for Bubblegum Crisis. And I tell the story about going and lining up for him and all the things that happened while I was, walking towards the line. I met people who watched the show, and just the excitement level that was building for me in the line and meeting him and what it meant for me. And I came back from the trip and I turned to my wife and you gotta thank him a lot, because I wouldn't do a lot of episodes unless she kind of said, yeah, go for it. Because I was like, I don't know if I should make an episode about this. She's like, about that. She's like, you absolutely have to make an episode about that. Talk about it. I'm like, really? Do you think anybody would find it interesting? And she's like, do it. And I sat down, and it flowed out of me. And, it's one of those stories that I've watched the video countless times because I'm fanboying, watching myself fanboy about this moment, and I really tell the story well, and I'm really thrilled that I did. I didn't think the episode would be as good as it is. I've done a lot of episodes where I look back and I'm like, oh, okay, that's okay. But this one, I really am so proud of the way I did it, and I'm like, wow, it was unexpected. I didn't think I was even going to do it. I didn't think I'd get it right. And it's just one of those things. It's a treasured one for me. It's called like my fanboy moments. And you've got to check it out on the channel. It's one of my favorite videos of the year. Now we get to number one. Like, there was a lot of moments this year. And number one, obviously, was a very important episode. I talk about my father not being into gaming, but always watching me kind of do it and being off to the side. My dad was a very big family man. He mowed the lawn, he fixed the house, he did all that stuff, but he didn't play video games. But he always kind of watched me do it, but it wasn't his thing. And then I talk about in the video coming home early, and there he was playing the N64 Mario Kart. I caught him. I came into the house early, and he was playing it on the ground, trying to use the analog as a racing wheel. He's kind of controlling it with both of his hands. And it was the most wonderful thing I'd ever seen, because I didn't think my dad liked video games. And it was a really treasured moment, and I talk about how proud I was in there. The episode is called like My Dad and Mario Kart 64. And just after that, my dad got diagnosed with cancer, and he died like a few weeks after he was diagnosed. It happened very, very suddenly, and my family was just thrust into a very tough time. And it was a really tough time for us all. And I just before that, I had this amazing moment, and I always thought to myself about all the amazing moments I could have had with my father leading up to now, if he was still around. And that episode really was a powerful one for me. And I'll tell you some behind the scenes stuff is that I sent it to all my family members. I sent it to my father's brothers, and they were crying when they watched the episode. They were so touched and moved by it. And it was really an episode for me to make, to cement that moment in time, because it was such an important and such a memorable moment in history for me. And little did I know how little time I would have with my father left. And now I realize how golden that moment was, and how much we have to appreciate every single moment. And it's the end of the year here. We've just gone through Christmas. And I got to say that, every single moment matters. And your family matters. Your friends matter. And you got to enjoy all the moments together. Video games are fun and all, but it's about all the people around you and the memories with them. That's the thing that you'll always take forward with you. And guys, I'm looking forward to 2018. Who knows? I'm sitting here right now. How could I top 2017 and 16 for moments? What's going to happen in 2018? I can only imagine. Hopefully something happens. You know what I mean? I'd hate to come back next year going, I got one happy console moment. No, I'm hoping there'll be a few more. So anyways, guys, until next time.